Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. The 29th of April. It is 11 a.m. Central European Time, and happy Workers' Day. To all of you out there, all of you workers that get up every morning, go to work, do your jobs, keep the world ticking over. This is your day. In some places, I imagine there is a bank holiday, and in other places, most of you are back at work. Today, where I am at the moment, it is a bank holiday, so it is lovely and quiet outside today. No noise, no traffic. It is lovely. Now, Mondays are always the slowest days of the week for news because nothing really happens over the weekend. We also did a show yesterday. A lot of people have been asking me what happened. There is some kind of glitch in the Matrix. There is some kind of rogue code on CoinMarketCap or something like that, which is causing not just my PC, but other streamers' PCs to hang, and that is causing streams to just cut out. It's not just me, I've been noticing with a few others as well. So I've made a couple of changes to the way we stream, and hopefully we won't have that problem again. But it's happened twice in 5 days. So let's see what happens. A few good mornings then before we begin. Good morning, Hidden Agendas. Good morning to Kishan. Good morning to Mags. Good morning to Bullish Bull. I nearly said good mornish. Good mornish to Bullish Bull. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a good day. What are we going to go over today? Well, we're going to have a look at some X-Files, the Bitcoin recovery, what is happening with Bitcoin. ETH is a POS. Now, that doesn't stand for anything rude. It stands for proof of stake, and Vitalik has come out to defend his position, and I'm going to disagree with him. We're going to look at some top RWAs, real world asset tokens. We're going to look at some bad actors, and then we're going to go and have a look at the AI war, and then we're going to have our final thoughts. That's what we're going to try and get through in an hour. And remember, if you are new here, we have just reached 123,000 fans. We are moving up every day. On certain platforms, we are hitting certain targets. On other platforms, we are a few away. We're only, I think, 20 subscribers away from 5,000 on the big red and white channel. So we're really close over there. On wherever platform you're on, we've just hit 1,000 subscribers. Other platforms, we have more. So all in all, we combine them all together, almost 123,500 fans. Big thank you to you all. Bottom right-hand corner, I am not changing that target. I don't care if we go to 55,000. 74,000 for me is the target that we need to break to really start to move up. And we might appear like we are miles away. I know I say this before, I've said it again, but crypto can move very quickly, and it can move when you're not watching, and it can move when you're not expecting it. Don't think because we're at $61,000, $62,000, $63,000 that we couldn't be at $74,000 by Friday or the Friday after. It is possible. It's also possible with a black swan that we could come down to 57,000. So just bear that in mind. I am going to go and update the bull market support band today. It's a Monday. It refreshes on a Sunday. Let's see what the price is of the bull market support band over there. And with all that being said, let's go through the markets and see just how much destruction has been done. So the market cap is down 3%. We're down to 2.31 trillion. Volume is up just a touch. We're not seeing a lot of volume at the minute. Bitcoin dominance 53.2, ETH dominance below 17%. Again, we think that ETH is not going to be approved for its ETF in May, and we think that is going to be delayed. Price action then, Bitcoin 62.3, we're down 2%. ETH 3.16k, that's down 5%. It's pretty much lost all of the gains of the ETF news. I think primarily because it's fake news. It happened with Bitcoin, it's happening again. Now, I'm expecting to see some big red candles. Let's go through the downers first. Core is down, Pendle is down, Gala is down, Conflux, Floki, Pepe, lots of 6, 7, 8% losses on the last 24 hours, and gainers, not too many. Helium is the only one that is really up. Lido is up a touch. Nothing to see here. We said, was it yesterday, when you see the stable coins in the top losers, you know it's a big green day. When you see the stable coins in the top green gainers of the day, you know it's a bad day. So I think we probably retraced most of what we gained over the last day or so. So we're back to square one. Bitcoin is on the slide a little bit, but again, it's still well within the price targets that we've got for Bitcoin. So let's have a look at some X files then. Let's see what is happening in the world of Twitter. I think we should go back to calling it Twitter. I don't like X. I preferred, we used to call this segment Bird on the Word, or Word on the Bird, sorry. I much prefer that to X files. So, Deuced, stop over trading. Don't fall victim to being early. Pick your winners. DCA on red days. See you in 6 months. Great advice. Don't FOMO in. That's the big one. Pick your winners. Pick the projects that you enjoy and you like and you think have a good chance of being a success in the real world, and dollar cost average in. That is the best bit of advice I found on Twitter yesterday. Great piece of advice. That only governments can print money. Everyone can print money. No one can print money. That final statement is the reason why Bitcoin is going to be the coin that you want to hold the value of your wealth. Bitcoin cannot be printed, remember. 21 million is the hard cap of Bitcoin. There will never ever be a 21 million and one Bitcoin. 21 million Bitcoin is the cap. We can print as much money as we want and it will never matter to Bitcoin. Bitcoin will always hold 21 million. Everyone we respect in Bitcoin right now, stay calm and hodl. Very true. Bitcoin Magazine. Oh my God, we're all going to die if we don't do something right now. Don't let them affect you. Study Bitcoin. Exactly. This is not the time to panic. We had a 8 days ago, we had the Bitcoin halving. The Bitcoin halving is a fundamental shift in the supply of Bitcoin and the way you think of Bitcoin. It doesn't happen the day after the halving. It will take time. I've said it before, potentially 6 months before the supply shock kicks in. It may be a lot sooner. Why? Because of what the ETFs are doing. They are buying up all the Bitcoin. Mr. 100 is buying up the Bitcoin. Michael Saylor is buying up the Bitcoin. 450 new Bitcoin a day does not go very far when potentially the ETFs are buying 5,000 to 10,000 a week. Mr. 100 is buying 700 a week. You have 3,000 new Bitcoin a week and a potential of around 12,000 Bitcoin a week disappearing off exchanges. Now, 3,000 doesn't go into 12,000, so the price will have to move at some point to find an equilibrium. And for those people out there telling you that we haven't started and we haven't, we're not going to go any further and this is it for the ETFs and everything else. No, these ETFs have only just started. The ETFs that you are seeing now are not currently part of other ETF funds. And those other ETF funds that want to expose themselves to Bitcoin have to apply. And there are hundreds and hundreds of applications going in to the SEC. Now, when they are approved, and there's no reason for them not to be approved, 1 to 3% of all of those funds are going to be in Bitcoin. So this is phase 1 of crypto infiltrating TradFi. Phase 2 is where all of the other funds can now tap into that new Bitcoin ETF pool. That takes time, but when it happens, we may not be seeing 10,000 or 12,000 a week. We might be seeing 15,000 a week. Tomorrow, what happens? The Hong Kong ETFs go live. People are expecting it to be a damp squid. and I'm kind of in that camp. However, don't forget, Hong Kong is a conduit for China. If China wants to buy Bitcoin ETFs, they will do it through Hong Kong. So it may be a pleasant surprise. But even if it's just an extra 200, 300 Bitcoin a week disappearing from the market, it's a little bit like Buckaroo. Is it Buckaroo? Where you have the pony in the middle and you keep putting things on top of him and then eventually he snaps. That's what's happening with Bitcoin. It's going to kick at some point and then it's going to move, and people are going to be scared by the move. Now, that might sound like Moon Boy, but it's simple supply and demand. And especially on days like this where we've come down, we're down almost 12,000 from the all-time high. I think we're down about 11,000 from the all-time high of where we were. That's not a huge retracement. We haven't gone as low as a lot of people were saying we were going to go. I still think we'll hold 60,666, but we're going to go and have a look in a minute. Just hold. Don't worry. Deep breaths. Go and walk on some grass or look at some sunshine. Not directly, of course. And just relax. These days happen. Breaking: Luca Netz, founder of Pudgy Penguins, revealed during the Jupiter Planetary Call that his second collection, Little Pudgies, will be launching a Solana bridge soon. We're seeing a lot of this happening. This is not specifically one example. It's an example of what is happening. And that is, very simply, that NFTs are moving to Solana. The Gods is moving back to Solana. Everybody's moving to Solana. Why? Because Solana is the choice of retail. And that is how I think the narrative is going to play out. Good morning, Diablisky. I hope you are well. And then finally, the final X-File is Peter Schiff, the gold maxi himself, admits he wishes he bought Bitcoin. Now, I don't care if this is true or not. I don't care. It's not the point. Deep down, he knows that Bitcoin is a good investment proposal. His son is a Bitcoin maxi of all things, and he, of course, has to hold his line, and that is that gold is number one because he runs a gold fund. Very simple. Peter Schiff admits he wanted to hold Bitcoin, and that is probably where we will leave the X-Files, and then we will move on to talk a little bit about Bitcoin. We're going to have a look at the recovery. One thing I am going to do today as well is Tariq was talking yesterday about Ethereum dominance. I am going to bring up the Bitcoin Ethereum chart later on when we talk about Ethereum and just show you why the Bitcoin ETH pairing is so important to look at. But we're going to do that after we've looked at the Bitcoin recovery. We also are going to have a look at the Bitcoin chart very briefly because we don't have a lot of time today and we have a lot to get through. So crypto price prediction: Bitcoin eyes $60,000 for potential recovery. Is that on the cards? The crypto market experienced a recent downturn following the release of inflation data that surpassed expectations. It did. It was pretty bad. The PCE price index was almost double what it was supposed to be. Not a good sign. We have stagflation. That's inflation going up and the economy contracting in America. That is not good. You can't put interest rates up and you can't drop interest rates. You are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Talking about a rock and a hard place, Uprock, for those of you that have been voting in the Jupiter LFG project, I have a new video going up today about Uprock. It will be done probably, I've recorded the video, so I'd expect it to be up by about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Anyway, back to this. So, the economy is not looking too good. Bitcoin is not going to be immune to the effects of this. The stock markets are taking a bit of a hammering. Bitcoin is not going to get away from this. So the Bitcoin price, we're not going to go through that, we're going to look at it in a minute. Bitcoin witnessed notable selling pressure this week, resulting in a price drop from 67 to 63.3 to record a 5% dip. Trading volume stands at 18 billion. and the market cap is 1.25. We know this. If the bearish momentum persists, Bitcoin could fall another 5% to 60,000. Now, I have a rough idea. Let's go over and have a look at the chart. I have a rough idea of where I think we are going to range between, and I think it's on the chart that I drew yesterday. So very quickly, let's go and have a look at this Bitcoin chart. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I don't want to do the Bitcoin chart every day, but it's important to have some ideas of where the prices are. Now, why are my figures not loading on here? Where has... Is it that one? There we go. Okay. So, bull market support band, believe it or not, has not moved. It's still 56,000. Now, if you look at the range we were in, we've gone through this yesterday. We don't need to keep looking at this. So, I think we are going to do this potentially. That's what I think can happen. We have started, we were rejected off this price here, which was 67,000. We got rejected there. We bounced off here. So I expect us to come back down to this level. 60,666-ish is where I think we're going to come down to. It's not bearish in any means. If we zoom out and show you exactly where we are, we have had a seismic move from here. 25,500 in August. We have come up, and expect that. That's what's going to happen. That's what Bitcoin does. So yes, we are here. Don't forget where the previous all-time high was. We are in the realm of the previous all-time high. So we are ahead of schedule. And because we're ahead of schedule, we should expect to see more volatility. Now, if I move down a little bit, look at these prices here. 65,000. Obviously, we've got the 69,000 top, but we're in the range we were in when we had mass euphoria in the previous bull run. People were talking about 100,000. People were selling their houses, selling their cars to go and buy more Bitcoin. 62.3 is not a reason for you to be sad in any way, shape, or form. Excuse me. Oh, I think hay fever season will be starting soon. Now, could we do this? Yes, we could. We could very well do that. And we could do that, quite conceivably. But we're really early in the cycle as well. We've only just had the halving. We've probably got another 12 to 18 months left before we start to see where we're going to cap out, where we're going to top out. Now, again, let's look at the RSI, which we don't look at too much on here. Let's look at the RSI. Now, on each instance of it being low, the price moves up in that direction. Now, this is on the daily, bear in mind, not the weekly. We've just come down again. So what should we see from this RSI position is we should see a move up. That's the title of the show today. Why are we coming down? We're retracing. Why are we retracing? Because the macro environmental climate is not healthy at the moment. We have a big day coming up. We have the FOMC meeting. We have Chairman Powell coming out telling us how everything is poor. But everything down here is indicating that we are going to move up. We can come lower. We can come down here. But nothing goes down forever. Nothing goes up forever. So I would expect us to do this at some point, maybe not this high, maybe this high, but you get the general idea. We're going to start moving up soon. We've had quite a long period in here of crabbing, if you like, range-bound crabbing, and that's not going to carry on forever. We're going to make a decision, and that decision, in my opinion, is up. We're oversold, and that's the title of the show today. So yes, we're down a little bit, but we are oversold, and we need, again, oversold on the 4-hour. Every time we are oversold, we have a small relief rally. It's just the way it goes. So don't panic too much about Bitcoin. Don't worry too much about it. We are still in a very healthy position, unlike Mr. Vitalik over here. And Mr. Vitalik has come out and he's saying all the wrong things, in my opinion, all the wrong things. By the way, I do have a poll running today. Are you feeling bullish for May? Is the poll. And we have bullish and bearish. So far, 91% of people are bullish for May. Let's hope that that stays true. So Vitalik Buterin defends Ethereum's transition to proof of stake. I do not defend that move. I think that was not the best thing for Ethereum to do necessarily in hindsight, but hindsight is a wonderful thing. So we'll go through why he thinks it was a good move, and then I'll tell you why I think it wasn't such a good move. So the Ethereum co-founder Vitalik has responded to community concerns about the network's transitioning from POW to POS. Over the past week, Ethereum's POS transition faced scrutiny from community members, particularly amidst concerns it prompted increased security by the regulators. The problem now is that Ethereum has switched from being a commodity to being potentially a security. And irrespective of how the tech works, or how we're all in it for the tech, you have just thrown yourself in front of the SEC bus. And there's no way around that for Vitalik. I don't care how he defends it. He's thrown Ethereum in front of the bus. Since its launch in 2015, Ethereum operated on a proof-of-work consensus. Similar to Bitcoin, back in the day, I mined Litecoin, and I also mined Ethereum. And although you needed equipment, and although it was expensive to operate the equipment, electricity, etc., it did reward you quite handsomely. 0.7 Bitcoin, Ethereum, 1 Ethereum a week, something like that. So it was a good generator of Ethereum for those. Once you'd put out the outlay, proof of work tends to pay you back over time. So the switch happened. People were complaining about the environmental impact of proof of work, and people were talking about banning Bitcoin, banning Ethereum. If you look at Elon Musk, he said that he wasn't going to invest any more of Tesla's money into Bitcoin until it became more sustainable. Ethereum didn't wait for that. It decided to go ahead with what was called the merge and switch from proof of work to proof of stake. It took an eternity for it to happen. It took almost 2 years to unlock the Ethereum that you locked into ETH2, and it's happened. We're over. We're now deflationary, but there is an issue. So Vitalik pointed out that proof of work was also quite centralized. No, it was just not talked about as much because everyone knew it was only a temporary stage until proof of stake. And that does not even get into how we probably mostly avoided ASICs, only because the upcoming proof of stake switch meant no incentive to build them, Buterin said. Since completing the transition to a proof of stake chain, Ethereum has witnessed a surge in validator numbers. But again, the problem with proof of stake is the richer you are, the more control you have. And that is just an undeniable fact. If you go out, if BlackRock went out and bought 24 million Ethereum and took 20% of the supply and staked all of that 20% of the supply with one validator such as Lido Finance, it would skew everything about Ethereum. And you are allowing people with excessive amounts of money to control your network. So proof of stake is not necessarily the answer. It's more like proof of wealth. You've switched from proof of mining to proof of wealth, and that's what you've done. And he didn't take into account what was going to happen when he switched. He didn't see it through. He didn't realize that these liquid staking platforms would set themselves up, such as Lido, and control 25% of the supply of Ethereum. It's a fundamental flaw in how Ethereum has built its system. Very different to the way that Cardano has implemented its proof of stake system, which of course Vitalik is now talking about copying. The other problem is, of course, Gary Gensler has suggested that proof of work cryptocurrencies meet the criteria, but proof of stake is the issue. Nothing about proof of stake itself versus proof of work would make Ethereum a security. Don't believe that at all. I think really it's just grabbing at some explanation for the SEC as to why they have flip-flopped over the question of Ethereum, because of course there's the famous speech in 2018 where Hinman said that Ethereum wasn't a security. Now, 2018, Ethereum was proof of work. It was mined. The very simple explanation is gold is dug out of the ground. Oil is pumped out of the sea or wherever the oil may be. Cobalt is dug out of a mine. Diamonds are dug out of a mine. Bitcoin is mined by computers. It is mined. It is a commodity. There is no real argument for explaining why Litecoin, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, is it Casper or one of those? They're all proof of work chains. They're all proof of work chains. They're mined. There's no pre-sale. Another thing that the SEC looks at is there a pre-sale? And I believe Ethereum was pre-mined. I believe people bought Ethereum off the bat. So I think Ethereum has a bigger case to fight against the SEC than anybody else. Their case is possibly borderline its security. And that's why you're not going to get the ETF, because the SEC are not going to approve it, because in all intents and purposes they believe it's a security. Vitalik said it isn't. The SEC will win that one. So Ethereum is in a spot of bother, and Vitalik has put it there. Rather than switching to proof of stake, they should have found a better source of energy to produce the Ethereum, the way that Bitcoin has done. Geothermal mining, flaring, all of these are the things which in the past were causing damage to the environment are now being converted into Bitcoin. It's a positive on the climate, if you want to look at it like that. Ethereum isn't, or wasn't, should I say, but could have been. And instead, he took the easy route, made it proof of stake, showed naivety, and now he's opened himself up to an attack by the SEC. And I don't care what he argues, he did that. He might not have done it knowingly, but that's just the way it is. Now then, this is not the Ethereum chart. This is not the Bitcoin chart. This is the ETH Bitcoin chart. And this is what's important to look at when you consider where we are with Ethereum. Now, let's zoom out an awful lot. I've even got it written on the screen here. In October 2022, almost a year and a half ago, you could get 1 Bitcoin for 16 Ethereum. 1 Bitcoin for 16 Ethereum. Today, that 1 Bitcoin will cost you 20 Ethereum. 20 times 0.5 is 1. That's how you work it out. So, over the course of the last... Let's have a look. So, Ethereum has lost... We're not even going to go from the top. I'm going to go from here. Ethereum has lost 40% of its value against Bitcoin in that period of time. Now, why does this matter? It matters because if you just held Bitcoin for the 18 months since October 2022, in fiat, you would have more money than if you held Bitcoin and Ethereum. So the Bitcoin-Ethereum pair is what you look at to see the strength of Ethereum against Bitcoin, and it's weak. it's really, really weak against Bitcoin. I mean, it's tried and tried and tried and tried and tried to break this support band. And that support band is, again, the average price of Ethereum against Bitcoin. We are nowhere near, okay? We are nowhere near. Now, at some point, this is going to bottom. At some point. And the question is, when? Down here, if we go to the depths, so if we go to 4 years ago, it fell to 0.02. So you needed 50 Ethereum to buy 1 Bitcoin. We then had the rally all the way up here. That took us to almost 0.7. So 15 Ethereum to 1 Bitcoin. And since then, we've come down. Now, irrespective of anything else, this is something that Ethereum needs to look at, because you are going to lose even more value the longer you hold Ethereum against Bitcoin. And the question you've got to ask yourself is, what is going to change this downward momentum? What is going to cause this move like that? And the answer is the ETF. The ETF is the only real hard future move by Ethereum that is going to cause a reversal in this downtrend. Now, full disclosure, I hold Bitcoin, I hold Ethereum. I like Ethereum. I think it has a future. If I'd have kept all of my assets in Bitcoin and hadn't bought Ethereum, hadn't bought Solana, hadn't bought XRP and everything else, I'd have more fiat money today than I would have had in October. But we don't live in a world where these are absolutes. I do carry out risk management. So the issue is, where do you buy Ethereum? Well, you should probably look at this here. This is the bull market support band. Now, if Ethereum does this, then you should be looking to buy Ethereum, or more Ethereum, or overload on Ethereum, however you want to look at it. Because there's no point in buying an asset which performs worse than Bitcoin. Otherwise, you hold Bitcoin. If you've got $1,000 and you know Bitcoin is going to give you 20% a year, so you know after year 1 and year 2 and year 3, you're going to have roughly $1,600. If I said to you, Ethereum is going to give you 15% a year, after those 3 years, you'd have $1,450. Why would you buy Ethereum? Why would you not just go out and buy all the Bitcoin? So you can't know the performance of every coin moving forward, but you can know that they have to perform better than Bitcoin, or there's no point in holding them. There's no point. Bitcoin is the standard. If you earn a return less than the return you get on Bitcoin, then there's no point in holding that coin. You might as well hold Bitcoin. And in the case of Ethereum, we have had these huge run-ups in the past. Look at that. I mean, that is astronomical. 50 Ethereum to buy 1 Bitcoin to 16 Ethereum to buy 1 Bitcoin. So you would have got over twice, nearly 3 times as much Bitcoin for your money between March 2020 and, let's call it, December 2021. For a year and a half, Ethereum outperformed Bitcoin. But since then, we have seen this huge decline. So this is for Tariq, because Tariq asked the question yesterday if he's still here. The question is, if we draw this down here, when does Ethereum break out? When? Because at the minute, we've been in this downward path for so long that we just don't know. And that's the problem. You should hold Ethereum, yes, but you have to understand as well that Bitcoin has knocked socks off it for at least the last 18 months, if not 2 years. So just bear that in mind when you look at Ethereum or any other asset. If it hasn't performed against Bitcoin, why are you holding it? Speculation, future profits, fine. They're all real and reasonable answers, but have an answer to that question. So, emerging tokenized real-world assets. Which assets hold value and potential? Again, it's a bit of a slow news day. I'm just kind of going over the same thing I talked about last week. There really isn't a lot to talk about on a Monday, and I don't want to get stuck on one or two topics. It's not that interesting. So, real-world assets. What are real-world assets? Well, BlackRock kicked off the hype about this by creating its fund called Build, B-U-I-D-L, which ran alongside, was it Ondo, I think it's called, or Audi, Ondo, I think. And it's basically about tokenization of real-world assets, stocks and shares, buildings, whatever it might be. But it's causing a huge buzz, and it kind of has overtaken AI. AI was the big buzz, and now it's real-world assets. In 6 months' time, it'll be something else. But at the minute, the buzzword is RWA. That's something to bear in mind and not get wrapped up in too much, because, again, chasing tornadoes, you're only going to get wrecked. So RWA means taking real-world things and turning them into digital tokens. Tokenization is when the rights to something like a piece of property or work of art become a digital token, in a nutshell. So hot real-world asset projects trying to steal the spotlight. And again, with crypto, it's all about getting attention, because attention drives price and price drives hype. It's a beautiful circle, if you like. So there are a few projects on this. Let me go down here. Let me go down. Here we go. So when it comes to real world value, new token creation is happening throughout blockchains and services that have proven their reliability. Now, this is where you come down to the OGs, the original tokens that have an ability to tokenize real world assets. Chainlink is now considered a top RWA token. For me, it always was a top RWA token. They have partnerships with real world businesses. They're in bed with USDC. They're in bed with Visa and MasterCard. And they really are one of the top tokens. And we cover it all. We cover Chainlink a lot on this channel, so it's not something new to you. So down here, you've got Chainlink, Maker, Ondo. You've got Pendle has been moving around, Synthetics, Ribbon, Wrapped, Centrifuge, and Polymesh. I don't consider any of those to be ones worth looking at, to be honest. The market caps are too low. You want to keep yourselves to the top ones. Now, others that are added to this that I would include, I would certainly look at VeChain. I would certainly look at AVAX. AVAX I hold a small bag of. Chainlink I hold a bigger bag of. Now, what we're going to do is very quickly show you the Chainlink price while we talk about these. Now, the key here is in a very similar vein to AI, what you don't want to do is be caught with the hype. And the hype being, if it puts RWA into the title, it must be something good, and therefore I must buy it. This happened with AI. You don't want to buy a token simply because it has the word AI in it. That's for retail to do. The same way with real world assets, there will be token upon token upon token created, expecting you to buy them. But they're all new tokens, unproven. So you want to go with tokens that have some level of history. Chainlink being one of them, AVAX being another one of them. Anything that's in bed with BlackRock is going to work as well. So Chainlink we have covered for at least the last 2 years on this channel. And we're in a good price range for Chainlink. And the reason being is, look at that level of support that we have come down to. This is a good price. $14, $14.20 is an exceptional price for Chainlink. In the previous bull run, and remember, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. In the previous bull run, we ran all the way up to, was it 40 something dollars? $50. Now, I am not saying we're going to go back there, but if I was a betting man, and I'm not, I'd be looking at this getting somewhere in the region of $100 for this project. Why? Because it's the market leader, it's number one, it's the top oracle, it's in bed with everybody. Everybody uses Chainlink. It has CCIP, so it can connect blockchains together. It can move assets across blockchain. It ticks every box of a successful project. Is it a unicorn? Yes. Is it sexy? Absolutely not. It is not sexy at all. It's like putting a potato sack over Beyonce's head. You don't know it's Beyonce under the potato sack, but she dances like Beyonce and she moves like Beyonce. And Chainlink, nobody can see the value in Chainlink, but they can see it when it moves, when it helps, when it enables other blockchains to work. That's where Chainlink gets its power from. Don't fade Chainlink. I've been going on about this project for a very long time, way back when it was in this beautiful range here. You had from the 10th of May 2022 until the 12th of October to pick up a $5, $6, $7 Chainlink. You had a year and a bit, and you still haven't missed the price of Chainlink. Chainlink is now at look at this level of support. Look at the volume profile. Look at the RSI. Like Bitcoin, it's oversold. It's fallen below its bull market support band. It's come up and it hasn't managed to break. So the next run, we're back at $18, in my opinion. So Chainlink for me is it's not in the hit zone or the kill zone, because that's further down here. You know, we were looking at that way back when. I'm probably going to have to redraw the fib levels on here because they are a little bit old. But we've got all of this previous resistance and support here at about $18. So $14 to $18 is a 20% gain, and it's an easy no-brainer. And if we come down further, then buy and fill your bags. If you can get Chainlink in this area here for between $10.60 and $14, that's a great price to get Chainlink at. I've got my bag. I'm not going to buy any more. I'm now looking to buy Near Protocol. I think I got in at $7, and I think it's at $6.90 now. But the point of the matter is, Chainlink, when you look at any new spangly project, AI, even if it's meme coins, look at the OGs. Those OGs are not, they're not lucky that they've existed so long. They're good at what they do. Quant is another great project. Nobody talks about Quant, but for me, Chainlink. Now, moving on, we've got 15 minutes left. We've got bad actors and AI war to get through. And the AI war is one where I'm going to have a bit of a rant because it's about WorldCoin. And as you know, I really detest WorldCoin. Not a fan of the project at all. But before we get to that, let's have a look at this. Regulating centralized exchanges will not stop bad actors. Lessons from the FTX trial. Now, I totally agree. Before we get into the article, the advent of AI is going to make it nearly impossible for centralized exchanges to validate who you are. It's going to make it impossible because AI is going to generate passports, it's going to generate utility bills and tax statements and all of those things. It's going to make it nearly impossible for them to tell who you are. So there's an impending cliff that we're approaching for KYC and AML. And I don't know a solution other than a blockchain-based solution where you have an identity to prove who you are that's connected to your bank, not WorldCoin or anybody else for that matter. So the fallout from the FTX collapse and the accompanying media circus left unexpected and wide-reaching disruption. Still, the truth that is expedited the realization that centralized exchanges are broken. How we pick up the pieces will have a long-lasting impact on our industry. It's not about the role of regulators to prevent another FTX collapse. Without a meaningful change, the new money system will continue to repeat mistakes from the past. Our industry and our emerging tech must show the world that complaint decentralization is possible. Compliance, maybe, is the starting point. And again, the two elements of FTX collapsing are they were forced to go to Barbados by the SEC. They didn't go there of their own free will. And there was no oversight over them. And because of that, KYC and everything else went out of the window. So in a post-FTX world, compliance and transparency must be prioritized. Regulation alone is not enough. I think that having all of your data on-chain will solve the problem. If you look at a lot of the exchanges that have proof of reserves, they are all verifiable via on-chain metrics. It's not difficult to do, but it needs somebody to oversee it. So irrespective of regulation alone is not enough. I disagree. I disagree entirely. If you put the process in place to monitor the funds on platforms and monitor the users of those platforms, you are not going to be far away from being a good regulator, in my humble opinion. Regulators have also been increasingly keen on enforcing new rules, yet this doesn't eliminate significant risks. Traditional finance, despite its strict regulations, aims to prevent centralization failures. Self-custody is the key. I don't know who's written this, but it's gone off on a bit of a tangent now. Self-custody is a problem when you have a country like America trying to outlaw self-custody and basically ban it. So I'm not sure self-custody is the key, or having a Web3 wallet attached to your exchange is not the key either. You cannot self-custody if you don't know what you're doing, because you will lose all of your money. That's why we are unlike other platforms. You know, you will hear people say, not your keys, not your crypto. I get that. I entirely get that. But I'm not going to tell my mum to put £10,000 into a MetaMask wallet and then expect her not to be hacked or compromised. It doesn't work. You need better security on exchanges, and that is the answer. The exchanges are responsible for your crypto, not you. And for 90% of people, whether you like it or not, you have to keep your money on exchanges. Having your money in a Phantom or a Soulflare or a MetaMask or a Trust wallet and you get hacked, it is gone forever. There is no way back, and that's going to burn everybody, and we don't want that. So forget this idea about not your keys, not your crypto. I'm sure 150, 200 years ago, people were telling you that you need to keep your money in gold coins under your bed. Not your gold, not your money. I'm sure that was a saying back 200 years ago. And I get it. But there comes a point where the risk outweighs the risk of having it on a centralized exchange. We've been through the bear market. We've seen which exchanges have collapsed. The exchange you're watching us on now is still there, and it's still there for a reason, because it carries out good self-regulation, self-awareness of what it's doing, and that has to count for something, and the regulator just needs to tap into that. And again, like I said, you can't penalize exchanges for things that are outside of their control. I'm going back to the AI thing at the minute. AI is going to mean that centralized exchanges can't do the jobs properly. It's as simple as that, and it's not their fault, and the regulator needs to find a better way. Scanning a passport is not going to work if that passport has been generated by AI. It's as simple as that. And I don't know how an exchange can get around this other than a phone call. But then what's to say you can't generate an AI voice and an AI response? It's impossible. So these hybrid exchanges are never going to work. I'm not a fan of these hybrid exchanges. I'm not a fan of Hong Yi's idea. Self-custody is great if you know what you're doing. The current offering of self-custody wallets is not good enough. AI is going to do a lot of damage to KYC, and regulation is what's important, not telling you that regulation isn't going to work. Absolute nonsense. Now, we are going to move on to AI, and we're also going to have a look at the WorldCoin charts as well, because I'm not a fan of the WorldCoin project, but there we go. Good morning, or should I say, yeah, good morning to Solo Sky. Welcome to the stream. Remember, if you are new here, we stream every day at 11 o'clock, apart from Sundays where we might stream at 10. So make sure to give us a follow and a subscribe and all of those good things, and hopefully help us grow the channel. The target is 200,000 fans by Christmas or New Year. We've got 76,000 to go in 7 months, 10,000 a month. It's going to be touch and go. But if you don't set a target, you're never going to get anywhere, are you? So Sam Altman's OpenAI reportedly in partnership talks with his other firm, WorldCoin. Now, this man here, he's in a bit of bother with Elon Musk. Elon Musk invested into OpenAI. Sam Altman then sold OpenAI to Microsoft, and Elon Musk is going to sue him because he wanted to invest in an open source AI project. And this certainly isn't open source anymore because Microsoft have all the inner workings of it. So Sam's sold AI down the river. He is talking about a far more dangerous version of AI than a lot of people understand. And he is talking about generating AI that can do people's jobs better than they can. So he is going to cause almighty issues for work, for employment moving forward, whether it be lawyers, accountants, customer service staff, whatever it might be. His AI is an existential threat to a lot of jobs. And I'm not a fan of WorldCoin either, because they are taking retina scans of you. And I mean, if you watched Star Wars, whose side are you on? Are you on the side of the Resistance, or are you on the side of Darth Vader? If you are watching Star Trek, are you on the side of the Borg, or are you on the side of Picard and the Enterprise? So in sci-fi and fantasy, you back the good guys, the resistance fighters. When it comes to the real world, people back their governments too much, and they give the governments too much respect for what they're doing. And things like WorldCoin are sneaking in via the back door because they're connected to the World Economic Forum. And we're not going to go on about that on here. But the point of the matter is, these are not the good guys. These are not the good guys. Because OpenAI, think of it this way. OpenAI has been bought by Microsoft. What are Microsoft going to do with it? If it can replace people's jobs. So if you can replace a $2,000 a month employee with a $300 a month AI bot from Microsoft, which one are you going to pick? You're going to pick the bot. And that bot and all of those $300 are going to make Microsoft an awful lot more money than they make now. Somebody's going to be out of a job. Somebody's family is going to be out of work and maybe homeless. That's going a bit extreme, but you get the idea. So Microsoft aren't doing this to benefit mankind. They're doing it to benefit their bottom line. And AI should be something that enables people in their jobs, not replace people in their jobs. And the UK and China and America and Elon Musk are trying to put together a framework for AI so it doesn't destroy the world economy. Because if you put 20% of your population out of work because it's now using AI, how do you feed and keep warm that 20% of your population. Now, you might think this is pie in the sky. We could be 2 years from this, 3 years from this, and it does sound extreme, and I understand it may sound extreme to you if you've never heard of this before, but we could be 12 months away from Microsoft offering you a virtual customer service assistant, a virtual marketing assistant, virtual accounting, virtual bookkeeping, virtual legal advice. It's almost there. It's very, very close. So OpenAI is an artificial intelligence company co-founded by Sam, and it's reported to be in partnership talks with Tools for Humanity's WorldCoin, a cryptocurrency-based universal basic income and identity verification firm. Now, if you can't get a job and your government pays you enough money so you don't have to work, are you ever going to not vote for that government? You've got enough money, you can't get a job because AI does all of the work, and you don't have to go to work. You can sit at home, you can consume the news, you can consume media, you become a product. And universal basic income might sound like utopia, and it is utopia for people who can't work. If you have a medical condition, if you have problems with work, if you've got to stay home, whatever, I understand all of that. We're not talking about people who can't work. We're talking about taking people out of the workforce that can work, that are no longer being allowed to work because they've been replaced by AI. So you might have heard this expression, you will own nothing and you will be happy. That's an expression that came from the World Economic Forum and is to do with things like this. Now, you are handing over, for your WorldCoin, you are handing over your ID. Now, that ID is going into a database. That database is going to be connected at some point to the World Economic Forum. They want to create all these kind of IDs. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying this is what they're trying to do. Now, OpenAI, is going to provide solutions to WorldCoin with the possibility for further synergy down the road. Now, we know exactly. Sam Altman owns OpenAI. He owns WorldCoin. When you hear the term possibility for future synergy down the road, he's already written it. It's already written. It's already there. Countries need to not sleepwalk into allowing this to continue. Any partnership between OpenAI and WorldCoin would almost certainly draw additional regulatory scrutiny given its status. I think it's just because of Sam. It's not just because of Sam at all. It's the entire concept of what they're doing. Controversy and regulatory scrutiny are nothing new for either company. OpenAI recently outlasted threats to investigate its partnership with Microsoft as a merger by the European Union authorities, ultimately dodging the allegations entirely. And WorldCoin has faced bans. Portugal, Kenya and Spain in the first 3 months of 2024. It needs to be banned everywhere. You cannot allow a private company to go around the world scanning the retinas of its inhabitants. It's straight out of a sci-fi book. It's 1984. It's Orwellian. It's whatever you want to call it. WorldCoin has so far spent the better part of 2024 looking to expand its operations. It's launched its own blockchain. Now, we're going to look at. Let's look at the price action, shall we? It is 11.59, and I'm really resisting the urge to go on a rant about WorldCoin. It's just not my favorite project at all. But we have managed, by the way, to not die on the stream, which is a good thing. Normally the stream lags, but I think we have solved the problem today, which is good. So WorldCoin hasn't been around for a very long time. I think it came out at the end of last year. July 2023 it came out. I said this coin would never go above $5. It did go above $5, but it's come straight back down again. I think the problem with this coin is I don't see any value in holding it. It is bribery, in my opinion. If you have your if you have your retina scanned, you are given 25 WorldCoin. Now, at this price, that's $110, $120 at this price. Would I blame you for having your retina scanned for $120 if that $120 is a present for your kids at Christmas? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think if you are in a situation where you need 25 WorldCoin, $125, then do it. No one should ever tell you otherwise. If you are in a position where you do not need that, you should not have your retina scanned. That retina that is scanned does create a digital ID. You do have a digital ID from it, but that data should not be stored in a centralized location, and it shouldn't be available to every Tom, Dick and Harry. If WorldCoin, OpenAI and the World Economic Forum get together, we don't know what they're going to do with that data. Countries and governments of those countries should not allow that data to ever leave their country, but they will, because they don't understand the threat that it can cause. And that's the problem. So for me, I am never going to buy this coin. I am never going to hold this coin. I am never going to have my retina scanned. But price action, I'm quite happy to show you, because there are people out there that want to trade it, and like a lot of coins, it's low on the RSI. The price is down now below its bull market support band. It's got previous price action up here at this level here, which is $7.70. If you buy this coin today, there's a good chance you're going to get a 75% uptick when the market recovers. So you got a 75% gain there, which is a lot more than the gain you would get on Chainlink. Chainlink, I think we're down, or you'd get maybe a 40% uplift on Chainlink. So if you want to buy WorldCoin to make a profit on that coin, I'd expect it to recover to 770. That's where the volume area is. That's where all the previous price action is. Remember, this market is not going to stay like this forever. We are not suddenly going to see this kind of price action from every coin. There will be a recovery in the market in the next few months, and then we'll move up. And if we get a dip down, if there is another leg down, then you should be looking to pick this coin up at about $3.05, which is another 30% down from here. But I can't see it going much lower. I can't see the market's going much lower. We are oversold, and if we're oversold, there's only one thing that's going to happen, and that's a relief rally. At worst, it's a relief rally. So very quickly, going back to Bitcoin, let's have a quick look at where we are. So 62.6 is where we are now. We are still in this range. I know people are panicky because we were up here at 71,000, and that was only 3 weeks ago. 71,000. We did come down and touch 60,000. I think as long as we hold 60,000, we are good, and that could be this. We could do this. So we could come all the way down to 61,000. And again, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. The reason I'm not worried, this will be my final thought. Let me explain. So, had Bitcoin done this, let's keep moving up. Let's give you some ridiculous things, okay? Had Bitcoin started doing this, and we got to around $100,000, and our bull market support band is doing this, okay? And it's got to 67,000. Where do you think we're going to go from here? We are going to bounce off that bull market support band, because we are way ahead of where we should be. Way ahead of where we should be. There is a time and a place for Bitcoin to be at these targets. Now, I'm going to give you some dates, if you like. Now, 6 months from the end of April takes you to the end of September or October. May, June, July, August, September, October. Okay. So let's go to here. Right. This line in the sand is October 2024. This is 6 months after the halving. Then we're going to move out. Now, I don't know. Don't hold me to these dates because we don't know. Right, we're going to put that there. Okay. Now, let's congest this a little bit. Let's get rid of some of these lines because it's really hard to see. So, this is what we've done. We have done this. Now, I think this is the move for Bitcoin in an ideal world. So, by October, we could very well be at 93,000 or thereabouts, and then 100,000 plus by the end of the bull run. And the reason is, let's go back and put all my lines back on. If you burn all of your fuel before you get into space, you're just going to fall back down to Earth. We cannot go parabolic at the halving. We go parabolic at the peak of the bull run. I said this about Solana. I said Solana is too far ahead of where it should be when it was over $200. We're now back at 140-ish. Beautiful price. Could we be at $800, $700, $600 by the end of this year? Yes. I think we could be at $450 or thereabouts by the end of this year. That still gives us potentially another leg in 2025. So this period here is where Bitcoin breathes. We do have political issues going on. As you're all aware, we do have an election coming up in the United States. So this next period here, this is the dead zone. This is the zone where we could, and I know I shouldn't use the word coulda, woulda, shoulda, we could do this for those 6 months. And then rocket. If you go back and have a look at where we were every time I do, every stream I do that. Okay. Let me see if I can show you. Okay. So 4 years ago, there was the halving. That was the halving 4 years ago. Now, I've zoomed out on the price, so you can't see a lot of price action. But look what happened. We went... Oh, look. We went that period of time, and we didn't really move. Does that look familiar? Does that look like what we're doing now? Where we could chop for 6 months and then pump. Because it looks that way to me. So we could replicate 4 years ago and just move sideways between 60 and 72,000 like we did here. Now if we zoom in, just to bear in mind, if we zoom in, you'll see that it wasn't quite like that. There was a lot of movement around and we did move up, but we didn't go parabolic until the October. So that's a possibility to bear in mind. And that is the end of the show. Thank you everybody for watching. It's been an hour and 10 minutes. I am going to make my video about, I'm going to edit my video about Uprock now. I'm going to upload it, hopefully get it up by 1 o'clock. I'm going to try and do 2 videos today because there is another project that I want to cover very quickly, which I think looks a bit scammy. So we're going to cover that. Yesterday, I made a video about a project called Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, a new meme coin. And guess what? It looks like it's a pile of junk to me. So I've called it out as a pile of junk in my video because I don't want you guys to be stung by buying the wrong meme coins. So with all that being said, a big thank you to you all. We've made it through the stream without dying today, which is great. Thank you to Mags, Hidden Agendas, Bullish Bull, Diablisky, everybody that's here. A big thank you. And I will see you all in the morning. Look out for the video that goes up today, or 2 videos that go up today. And if you're off, if it's a bank holiday where you are, enjoy the day off, enjoy the sunshine, and I'll see you all in the morning. Take care.